A million-visitor lagoon began as power plant discharge, then repeated eruptions forced closures. Across 30 destinations, today's view depends on what holds and what changes next. Unreal places. Our world is changing before our eyes. Many of these landscapes exist inside narrow physical limits. Ice needs deep cold, coral needs cooler water, salt lakes need inflow. Cities on soft ground need barriers strong enough to hold back rising tides. Those limits are moving. Retreating ice exposes colored rock, then crowds grind down the new trail. Dams uncover basalt walls while redirecting the river that hid them. I want to understand what keeps an extraordinary place recognizable once the conditions that formed it begin to shift. In this video, we explore how climate, tourism, geology, and engineering are rewriting Earth's most improbable destinations. A lake once famous for visibility near 100 feet now depends on roads, roofs, and winter temperatures far beyond the waterline. Lake Tahoe holds roughly 39 trillion gallons in a Sierra Nevada fault basin, more than 6,000 feet above sea level and over 1,600 feet deep. In 1968, a Secchi disk remained visible at about 100 feet. That clarity was not permanent. Clean snowmelt, forest soil, and wetlands kept fine sediment and nutrients from reaching open water. Development cuts across those natural filters. Runoff from shoreline construction, ski areas, pavement, and fertilized ground carries particles that feed algae and cloud the lake. Warmer winters tighten the pressure. More rain falls instead of snow. Runoff arrives earlier, and surface water stays warm longer, changing the deep mixing that moves oxygen and nutrients. The tourism economy relies on marinas, beaches, resorts, and mountain roads. Yet those same assets harden the watershed and accelerate runoff. Scientists track temperature, algae, invasive species, and visibility, while crews rebuild wetlands and install runoff controls. This is basin-wide engineering, not one grand monument. Tahoe makes the wider pattern visible. Climate and infrastructure far beyond a landmark can rewrite the view at its center. Industry created the Blue Lagoon's milky water. Restless ground can make the entire complex unreachable. Beside Iceland's Svartsengi power station, underground fluid supplies geothermal energy before its mineral-rich water settles into bathing pools, kept near 100 degrees Fahrenheit. The lagoon began as an accidental industrial byproduct. As discharged water cooled, silica formed and helped seal the porous lava, allowing shallow pools to remain instead of draining away. Suspended silica scatters light. Algae and dissolved minerals add to the milky blue appearance. Engineering then turned an unplanned reservoir into one of Iceland's recognizable tourist sites. But since late 2023, repeated magma intrusions and eruptions near Grindavik and Svartsengi have forced evacuations, road closures, intermittent shutdowns, and protective earth barriers. Lava does not have to reach the bathing water to stop the business. A blocked road, damaged utility line, gas hazard, or disruption at the power station can close the complex. That is the leverage hidden beneath the spa. Tourism depends on geothermal engineering, while geothermal engineering stands on shifting rock. Monitoring buys warning and barriers redirect flows, but neither makes the peninsula stable. The lagoon's apparent serenity is infrastructural. A broken road or utility line can erase access before lava ever reaches the water. These islands preserve an unmatched record of evolution, but their future can be disrupted by warm water arriving from far beyond Ecuador. Roughly 600 miles from the mainland, volcanic isolation produced giant tortoises, marine iguanas, flightless cormorants, and many organisms found nowhere else. Charles Darwin visited in 1835, and the islands later became closely linked to the theory of natural selection. Cool, nutrient-rich water from the Humboldt Current and the deeper Cromwell Current drives algae, fish, seabirds, and marine mammals. During strong El Niño events, warmer surface water suppresses that upwelling. The consequence moves quickly through the food chain. Marine iguanas lose grazing algae, seabirds may fail to breed, and corals face heat stress and bleaching. Ecuador protects most of the land as national park and surrounds the archipelago with a vast marine reserve. It can control human pressure. Visitor quotas, designated sites, fixed itineraries, licensed naturalist guides, and biosecurity inspections limit disturbance and reduce the chance that new invasive organisms arrive. Tourism, fishing pressure, introduced species, and a growing resident population still meet on the same restricted ground. Rules can limit what arrives by boat or plane. They cannot govern the warm currents now reorganizing reefs, feeding grounds, and breeding cycles. A hydroelectric dam did not merely control this river, it exposed the canyon now photographed as a natural wonder. In 2007, the Karanjukar project diverted much of the Jokulsa Adal, lowering the flow and exposing basalt that had remained submerged for generations. The rock is far older than the intervention. A thick lava flow cooled slowly, contracted, and split into polygonal columns, rising nearly 100 feet along the gorge. Before diversion, powerful, sediment-heavy glacial water concealed much of that structure. Under low flow, the river can turn blue-green, but weather, silt, reservoir releases, and overflow can quickly alter both color and force. Images spread widely after 2016, and a remote valley became a major stop. Paths, parking demand, and viewing areas followed the photographs. That attention carries weight. Informal routes cut into fragile ground, while the closer eastern viewpoints require a longer walk. The central issue is not simply what engineering uncovered, but how it changed the place. The river is now both natural force and managed release. Studlagill's famous view therefore depends on three pressures staying in balance: ancient rock, controlled water, and growing human traffic. Change the reservoir releases or the ground around it, and today's postcard is rewritten again. Venice is being defended from too much water, while policy tries to defend it from too many visitors. Across 118 islands, roughly 50,000 historic center residents now rely on 78 mobile sea gates and a fee aimed at day visitors. Buildings stand on timber piles in waterlogged sediment. Canals replace roads. That adaptation endured for centuries, but subsidence and rising seas now give storm surges a higher starting point. During Acqua Alta, water can enter through quays, drains, and low squares. Piazza San Marco is among the first prominent spaces to flood. Mose answers at the scale of the lagoon. At 3 Adriatic inlets, gates resting on the seabed fill with air and rise when a dangerous tide is forecast. Since entering operation, the barriers have prevented major floods. Every closure, however, demands forecasting, maintenance, and control of shipping and water exchange with the sea. The pressure on land is less visible. Cruise traffic, short-term rentals, and day visits have helped reduce the permanent population, weakening the community that keeps the old center functioning. The defense is necessarily uneven. Giant gates can hold back the lagoon, while smaller rules try to keep residents, housing, and daily life from draining away. Lake Natron's caustic water does not shut life out. It builds a barrier around a major breeding ground. Rarely more than 3 meters deep, this soda lake is East Africa's principal regular breeding site for lesser flamingos. It lies in Tanzania's Gregory Rift, beneath the active volcano Oldoinyo Lengai. Streams, hot springs, and sodium-rich volcanic material feed the basin. Intense evaporation then concentrates the salts. As water retreats, salt-tolerant microbes color the shallows red, orange, and pink. These organisms support lesser flamingos across the region's alkaline lakes. Breeding succeeds only within a narrow range. Water must isolate mud nests from predators without rising high enough to inundate them or falling so far that dry ground forms a crossing. That is why soda ash extraction proposals carry weight beyond the mine itself. Roads, water demand, disturbance, and altered chemistry could shift the precise conditions that turn this extreme lake into a refuge. Climate adds another lever. Hotter conditions and altered rainfall can shift evaporation, lake depth, and nesting cycles, tightening an already narrow breeding window. Natron's future rests on a thin boundary. Whether industry and climate leave enough alkaline water at the right depth and time to keep East Africa's principal flamingo breeding ground intact. The impact lasted seconds. Its scar survived 50,000 years and became a field lesson for other worlds. Near Winslow, an iron-nickel body tens of meters wide excavated a bowl roughly 3,900 feet across and more than 550 feet deep. The force fractured and overturned rock, then cast debris beyond the rim. Fragments of the meteorite remained across the plain, but much of the original body broke apart or vaporized. In the early 20th century, mining engineer Daniel Barringer rejected the volcanic explanation. He drilled for a huge buried iron mass that was never there, yet the unsuccessful search helped prove an extraterrestrial impact. Arizona's dry climate preserved features that erosion usually grinds away. The crater survives not as untouched scenery, but because harsh conditions slowed the rewriting. NASA later turned this ancient disruption into a training ground. Apollo astronauts practiced field geology here, learning to identify shocked, displaced rock and gather evidence in cratered terrain. That reversal matters. A crater from deep time became preparation for leaving Earth. Now, a privately owned rim supports a museum, viewing trails, and expanding visitor facilities. Meteor Crater remains recognizable because the desert protected it, but its next appearance will be shaped by how carefully people build around an impact made in seconds. One of Earth's greatest wildlife movements can be redirected by rain that falls in the wrong place. More than 1.5 million wildebeest, joined by hundreds of thousands of zebras and gazelles, track fresh grass across an ecosystem far larger than the park. Serengeti National Park protects roughly 5,700 square miles, yet the route extends into conservation lands and Kenya's Maasai Mara. A boundary cannot contain the water and grazing that drive the herds. Early in the year, nutrient-rich southern plains support concentrated calving. As grass dries, the herds shift west and north, negotiating rivers, steep banks, fatigue, and predators, moving on the same seasonal signal. Later rain pulls the movement south again. This circuit works because animals can still cross enormous ground without continuous fencing. But rainfall is becoming less dependable. A delayed storm can hold a herd back. Grass elsewhere can split it, while dry water sources can force another route. That change reaches human work. Guides and camps built around familiar seasons must reposition around moving herds, not a fixed tourism calendar. The map that matters is larger than the park. Expanding tourism must leave the outer corridors open for a migration increasingly redirected by rain. A reef can finance its own protection, while visitors supplying that money add pressure of their own. Across more than 1,500 islands and islets, Raja Ampat holds over 550 reef-building coral species and more than 1,400 fish species. Its strength comes from variety. Water moving between the Pacific and Indonesian seas carries larvae and nutrients through sheltered bays, fast channels, deep drop-offs, seagrass, and mangroves. That range packs manta cleaning stations, dense fish schools, and soft coral walls into one archipelago. It also spreads protection across a maze that is difficult to patrol from a distant capital. Community-managed no-take zones restrict fishing, while local patrols watch vulnerable reefs. Diver and visitor fees help pay for boats, monitoring, and community programs. This creates a hard bargain. Healthy coral earns direct local value through diving, but more boats, anchors, waste, and coastal construction can weaken the same asset. the greater pressure arrives without an entry ticket. Marine heat waves can bleach coral across the wider coral triangle, beyond the reach of any patrol boat or local boundary. A patrol boat can deter illegal fishing, not a marine heat wave, the limit around which every local success is now organized. The force that has spared Socotra from heavy development is also one of its deepest weaknesses: isolation. The archipelago sits nearly 400 kilometers south of the Arabian Peninsula, and roughly a third of its plant species exist nowhere else. Dry limestone, granite mountains, and monsoon winds shaped life under hard limits. Over immense time, scarcity produced forms built for heat, thin soil, and little water. The dragon's blood tree is the clearest example. Its umbrella crown catches mist and shades the ground, while red resin from its trunk has long served local use and trade. Yet the forest cannot rebuild quickly. Grazing, drought, and soil loss prevent many seedlings from replacing older trees, turning every toppled mature crown into a long deficit. Yemen's prolonged conflict has restricted mass tourism and major investment, shielding parts of Socotra by accident. It has also weakened conservation, complicated supplies and waste management, and obstructed scientific work. In 2015, 2 cyclones arrived in succession, a rare shock for this region. Their wind and rain toppled mature endemic trees across landscapes poorly prepared for repeated storms. Roads and settlements now add pressure where access is easiest. Socotra proves that isolation can delay change, but only active protection can preserve a forest that rebuilds over generations. Rain creates Milford Sound's spectacle, then threatens the single mountain road carrying most land traffic. More than 6 meters can fall in a year, feeding waterfalls while exposing that one route to repeated disruption. Despite its name, this is a fjord, carved as glaciers, drove a U-shaped valley below sea level. Mitre Peak rises more than a mile above the water. Rain turns the cliffs into an active drainage face. Permanent waterfalls thicken, and temporary falls appear wherever stormwater finds a break in the rock. The same rain changes life below. Tannin-stained fresh water forms a dark surface layer that blocks light, allowing deep-water species such as black coral to live unusually near the surface. Dolphins, seals, and fjordland-crested penguins use this narrow waterway. Tour boats gather around the same waterfalls and wildlife sites, compressing activity into limited space. On land, remoteness offers little protection. Avalanches, rockfall, floods, and closures can interrupt the route. Heavier rain can raise each pressure at once. Milford's spectacle and its bottleneck come from the same narrow geography. Rain feeds the waterfalls, then tests the only road as boats crowd the water below. Long before mechanical air conditioning, Loft-cooled homes through masonry towers open to the wind. For more than 2,000 years, this settlement on Kesham Island has endured heat, humidity, tides, and seasonal winds beside the Strait of Hormuz. Tall masonry wind catchers open toward prevailing breezes and direct air into rooms below. Pressure differences can also pull hot indoor air upward, providing ventilation without mechanical cooling. Thick walls, shaded courtyards, and narrow, twisting alleys complete the design. They cut direct sun and funnel wind through a compact coastal village. Traditional cisterns stored scarce rainwater. Cooling, shade, and water storage worked together because architecture here was not decoration. It was equipment for survival. The coast follows the same logic. Traditional wooden vessels, fishing, and nearby mangrove forests tie work to tides and regional trade. Kesham's UNESCO Global Geopark now draws visitors to canyons, salt formations, mangroves, and historic communities. The new income also raises pressure to build for speed and volume. New guest houses, roads, air conditioning units, concrete additions, and vehicle traffic can alter LAFT even when individual towers remain intact. Preservation is real only if homes still cool themselves, cisterns still serve, and alleys still channel wind. Towers alone cannot preserve the working village. One of Australia's most recognizable colors is produced by organisms too small to see. Lake Hillier is only about 600 meters long, yet its pink water dominates aerial images of Middle Island. The lake sits behind a narrow belt of dunes and paperbark woodland, with the Southern Ocean just beyond it. That barrier creates the famous contrast, but not the color. The color comes from a salt-tolerant microbial community. Algae and other salt-loving microbes can produce red and orange pigments under highly saline conditions. But this is a living balance, not a permanent dye. Salinity, water level, nutrients, rainfall, and temperature can change which organisms dominate and how strongly the lake turns pink. The crucial distinction is that isolation limits heavy foot traffic, but cannot seal the water off from regional change. Most visitors see Hillier from the air. Boat access is occasional, local controls are strict, and difficult seas keep routine ground access limited. Remoteness reduces direct pressure, yet it makes repeated sampling and observation harder. Protecting the shore does not automatically reveal what is changing in the water. The decisive question is whether shifting heat, rainfall, and salt levels reorder the microbes that produce the pink. If that balance moves, the lake may remain intact while its defining view changes. Pamukkale's white surface looks self-made, but it is now sustained by managed channels, scheduled flow, and bare feet. Warm groundwater absorbs dissolved calcium as it moves through limestone. At the surface, pressure and temperature change, carbon dioxide escapes, and calcium carbonate forms along channels and pool edges. Layer after layer builds travertine dams, shallow basins, and the petrified cascades that define Pamukkale. The same springs supported Hierapolis above the slope, linking bathing, healing, sacred life, and commerce to a single flow of warm water. By the 20th century, roads and uncontrolled access added more pressure. Spring water was routed toward hotels and private pools, and parts of the slope lost flow. World Heritage Protection forced a reversal. Intrusive hotels were removed, access narrowed, and the limited discharge was rotated through selected channels. That means every basin cannot remain full at once. A dry terrace may reflect deliberate water scheduling rather than natural failure. The barefoot rule reduces abrasion and contamination, while designated routes keep mass tourism off fragile mineral deposits. Tourism continues, but its movement is now confined. Pamukkale now survives through restraint. Water once diverted into private pools is rationed to keep building the landscape. More than 2,900 reefs line 1,400 miles of Queensland's coast. Sustained ocean heat can bleach them across the scale that made the Great Barrier Reef extraordinary. Coral color comes from a working partnership. Microscopic algae live inside the coral, supplying much of its energy and color. During prolonged heat stress, corals expel those algae and turn pale or white. Bleaching does not guarantee permanent loss, but recovery needs cooler water and time. Since 2016, repeated mass bleaching events have shortened the interval for feeding, reproduction, and regrowth. Another hot season can arrive before damaged reefs recover. Cyclones, crown-of-thorns starfish, poor water quality, and sediment runoff can add pressure to reefs already strained by heat. Scientists and tourism crews track coral cover, place temperature loggers, and report outbreaks. Some teams also test small-scale restoration and larval seeding work. Traditional owner groups manage sea country and join the monitoring, linking long-term stewardship to fast field data. Tourism still depends on colorful, wildlife-rich reefs, yet operators cannot promise that a familiar site will look the same next summer. At reef scale, the limit of local defense is stark. Crews can support recovery, but they cannot manufacture the cooler intervals coral needs. A coastline celebrated as timeless now depends on traffic calendars and stone walls repaired by hand. Along the Sorrentine Peninsula, one coastal road squeezes buses, cars, scooters, and service vehicles between cliff edges, tunnels, and crowded town centers. There is almost no spare ground on which to widen it. Positano, Amalfi, and Ravello occupy narrow ledges between mountain and sea. Their foothold was built, not granted. Generations of residents stacked dry stone terraces across the slopes, holding thin soil for vines, olives, and the long Sfusato Amalfitano lemon. Those walls also slow runoff, but every course demands manual repair. When terraces are abandoned, roots, soil, and fractured rock lose a line of defense. More intense rain can saturate the slope, send material onto the road, and cut towns off. Peak season rules alternate access by vehicle registration on selected days. They do not solve the geography. They ration space that cannot be manufactured. Ferries can carry the load when the sea allows, yet deliveries, repairs, and daily life still depend on narrow ground. More visitors increase the pressure on the very terraces and towns they come to value. The Amalfi Coast is not a fixed postcard. Its future outline will be decided by rain, restraint, and the hands that keep rebuilding the slope. Visitors now enter homes cut into volcanic rock, soft enough to wear away. For thousands of years, families in Iran's Kerman province have used rooms cut horizontally into soft volcanic rock, where stone tempers summer heat and winter cold. These rooms, known as quiche, were never just isolated caves. They formed the cold season base of a wider life organized around pasture, water, crops, and weather. Families traditionally moved to spring livestock areas and summer garden settlements, then returned to the rock village for colder months. The village worked because families kept moving. Soot-darkened ceilings, niches, animal spaces, and hand-cut entrances record long domestic use. Empty rooms preserve stone, but not the seasonal work that gave it purpose. UNESCO recognition in 2015 brought guides, guest accommodation, road access, and new income. It also brought utilities, moisture, vibration, and repairs that can strain the soft rock. Tourism can support the families who maintain Maymand, but growth cannot be measured only at the entrance. An altered wall or empty dwelling can weaken the link between the rooms and the knowledge behind them. If new income preserves only the rooms, Maymand becomes a shell. The harder task is keeping the seasonal knowledge that made them habitable. Iceland's largest ice cap is thinning under warmer air, while volcanic heat can melt it from below. Vatnajökull covers roughly 8% of the country, while active volcanic systems, including Grímsvötn and Bárðarbunga, lie beneath its mass. Geothermal heat can melt ice at the base, storing water until pressure opens a route outward. The result is a Jökull loop, a sudden flood that drives sediment, ice blocks, and debris across the outwash plains. At the margins, summer meltwater cuts channels through dense ice. Some become accessible blue caves in winter, when colder conditions reduce the flow. The color is physical, not permanent. Dense ice absorbs more red wavelengths as light passes through it. Every ceiling, entrance, and route can change before the next season. Guides inspect the caves, carry safety equipment, and cancel access during warmth, heavy rain, flooding, or unstable conditions. Their work turns a temporary opening into a narrow, managed window. That window is becoming shorter and less predictable as outlet glaciers thin and retreat. Raw moraine emerges, lagoons enlarge, and approaches that once started near roads grow longer. A growing ice cave industry therefore depends on structures it cannot preserve in place. Vatnajökull's defining view will keep changing, while ice, weather, and disciplined restraint decide when access remains possible. The mountain attraction built around snow is now engineering a future with less of it. At roughly 7,100 feet above the Grindelwald Valley, steel walkways and high-speed rides sell summer where winter once carried the business. A gondola lifts visitors from the village to First, turning a steep alpine barrier into a controlled year-round route. The cable does more than move people. It holds the resort economy above uncertain snow. The first cliff walk bolts steel directly to the mountainside, then pushes a platform beyond the slope. Nearby, the first flyer turns gravity into a ticketed descent at nearly 50 miles an hour. These machines are not decoration. They are an economic answer to shorter, less reliable snow seasons across the Alps. Hiking trails now carry more of the load, running toward Bach Alpsee while viewing platforms package the exposed scale of the Bernese Alps. But the same outlook reveals the retreat of the ice that formed these valleys. Rock surfaces once covered by glaciers are becoming part of the new alpine image. Thawing ground, intense rain, and erosion press on gondolas, drainage, paths, and steel fixed to high slopes. Grindelwald First is no longer selling a fixed winter postcard. It is rebuilding alpine tourism around snow that grows less dependable. Patagonia's most famous advancing glacier is beginning to lose the trait that made it exceptional. Across a park covering more than 700,000 hectares, monitoring now places Perito Moreno closer to the wider pattern of thinning ice. Los Glaciares protects glaciers flowing from the southern Patagonian ice field into immense lakes, with forest on one flank and steppe on the other. For decades, Perito Moreno appeared to resist the regional retreat. Its front periodically pressed against Lake Argentino's shore and blocked a channel. Water rose on one side until pressure opened a tunnel through the ice barrier, producing the release that built its global reputation. Boardwalks and boats turned that movement into tourism. Cracks carried across the lake, and great slabs separated from the front. Yet calving alone cannot reveal whether a glacier is gaining or losing mass. That answer comes from elevation, volume, and the position of the front over time. Those measurements now show thinning and volume loss at Perito Moreno itself. The distinction matters because nearby glaciers, such as Uppsala and Viedma, have already lost area and thickness. Perito Moreno is no longer safely outside their story. Perito Moreno drew crowds as Patagonia's rare holdout. Measured thinning now weakens the exceptional claim that built its tourism fame. Melting ice did not erase this landmark. It revealed it, then opened the ground to a second form of erosion. At roughly 5,000 meters in Peru's Cusco region, Vinicunca's mineral bands emerged more clearly as snow and ice cover retreated. The reds, browns, yellows, and greens are not painted surfaces. They come from differently mineralized sedimentary layers, tilted upward by Andean uplift and exposed by erosion. For generations, those bands were visible less often. Longer drive viewing periods and online exposure turned a remote herding landscape into a global attraction within a few years. The route from Cusco ends in a high climb where thin air, cold, mud, and fast-changing weather control the pace. Distance is only one part of the strain. The sudden traffic also created livelihoods. Local communities now manage parking, horse services, food stalls, guides, and access on former herding land. But concentrated footsteps, horse traffic, vehicle tracks, improvised paths, and new construction cut into alpine soil that repairs itself slowly. More revealing than the colors is the sequence. Retreating ice exposed the mountain, then attention began wearing down the ground. Vinikanka's future depends on keeping defined roots firm, without stripping away the local income its exposure created. The infrastructure built to reveal a permanent river of ice now faces rock the ice has abandoned. Aletsch runs about 14 miles through the Swiss Alps, making it the longest glacier in the range. Since the late 19th century, it has retreated more than 2 miles. At Concordia Platz, several tributary glaciers press together, and gravity drives the joined mass downhill. Dark moraine bands mark their seams, carrying rock along separate ice streams. Those lines make change measurable. As retreat accelerates, the glacier thins, moraine bands widen, and vegetation takes over former ice margins. The clearest evidence may stand above the ice. Around the Concordia hut, stairs and access routes have been extended as the surface dropped away. Cable cars and viewpoints at Eggeshorn still deliver the classic alpine panorama, but their engineering was aimed at ice that appeared fixed on a human timetable. The mismatch is stark. Steel, stations, and observation decks hold position while the ice withdraws. Tourism can preserve access to the view, but not the view itself. The retreat shifts more than scenery. Thinner ice can expose unstable slopes, force trail changes, and alter meltwater beyond the glacier. Aletsch remains immense, but its scale no longer means permanence. The next alpine landscape is already emerging beneath infrastructure built for the last one. Seconds of ground movement overruled centuries of mineral deposition in Juzhai-gu. In 2017, a magnitude 6.5 earthquake altered Juzhai-gu's channels and formations, forcing an extended closure and staged reopening. The protected valley spans more than 72,000 hectares in northern Sichuan, from roughly 2,000 to 4,500 meters. Forests, lakes, waterfalls, and Tibetan villages share that steep ground. Its color is built, not painted. Calcium-rich water deposits carbonate around wood, shorelines, and stream barriers, slowly raising pale dams that hold exceptionally clear pools. The earthquake exposed the other clock at work. Landslides damaged roads and buildings, shifted watercourses, and changed some celebrated formations. Reopening could not mean restoring the old flow of visitors. Daily limits, reservations, shuttle buses, and fixed walking routes now keep heavy demand inside approved corridors. These controls are not simply crowd management. They reduce pressure on the valley while monitoring and repairs respond to slopes that can still move. The contradiction is hard to ignore. Mineral dams require water and time, yet geology can rewrite them without warning. Preservation cannot fix every lake in one familiar form. Juzhai-gu now adapts by controlling human movement while accepting natural movement. Its future shape will be negotiated between carbonate, unstable mountains, and firm limits on access. The white disks beneath this ice are methane caught inside a lake that human engineering created. Abraham Lake stretches about 32 kilometers behind the Bighorn Dam, making it Alberta's largest man-made lake. Built on the North Saskatchewan River in the early 1970s, the reservoir receives fine rock flour from glaciated mountains. Suspended sediment turns the open water turquoise. Winter builds its signature detail from below. As organic material decays on the lakebed, methane rises and freezes in stacked layers beneath the surface. The result requires a narrow weather window. Strong cold must harden clear ice. Snow must stay limited, and wind often sweeps the surface clean. That same clarity can conceal pressure. As reservoir levels change, voids can form below the ice, shorelines can separate, and cracks can open. Chinook winds and temperature swings can quickly alter thickness and surface quality. Safe access cannot be judged from appearance alone. Photographers gather at accessible bays, but the bubble field does not return on a fixed schedule. Less predictable cold narrows the period when ice looks clear and stable. Abraham Lake's winter image is not a permanent landmark. It depends on dam operations, methane, wind, snow, and sustained cold, conditions now aligning less reliably. A fire that has burned for decades may be ended not by geology, but by government order. The Darvaza crater spans roughly 60 to 70 meters, with natural gas-feeding flames through fractures beneath the Karakum Desert. Its origin is often tied to a Soviet-era drilling accident and a ground collapse, but the records are too thin to treat the date or ignition as settled history. Burning converts much of the methane into carbon dioxide. Incomplete combustion and nearby seepage can still release pollutants, while valuable fuel vanishes into open air. That is why government orders since 2022 have focused on health, emissions, and lost revenue. The flames are no longer merely a spectacle. They are wasted energy under political pressure. Extinguishing them is not a matter of pouring sand into a hole. Engineers must cut or redirect the gas, seal hidden pathways, or drill production wells without opening fresh escape routes. Rough desert roads, local guides, and nearby yurt camps support a small tourism trade built around the blaze. Controlling the gas could also thin that income. Darvaza's future now rests on how Turkmenistan weighs lower emissions, recoverable gas, and the income built around a desert spectacle. The trees that look like a designed avenue were never planted as one. They are survivors of a forest cleared around them. Roughly 24 Grandidier's baobabs rise about 30 meters beside an unpaved stretch of Route 8 near Morondava. Rice paddies and seasonally flooded ground now press against the surviving trunks, leaving little woodland in which a new generation can establish. Their swollen trunks store water, and losing leaves in the dry season cuts moisture loss. Those defenses help mature trees endure long periods of stress. that endurance can hide the greater danger. Very few young baobabs are reaching the height needed to replace the old giants. Seedlings and saplings face grazing, fire, trampling, cultivation, drought, and altered flooding. A single hard season can undo years of early growth. Cyclones can break crowns or push mature trees over, while erratic rain narrows the window for new roots to take hold. Route 8 is also a working road. Carts, vehicles, farmers, vendors, and visitors all use the same narrow corridor, so protection cannot simply fence the landscape away. Protecting only the famous adults would preserve today's outline for a while. Saving the avenue means securing enough habitat for young baobabs to replace them. Rain can paint blue back across Lake Urmia without restoring its water balance. At extreme lows, the lake had lost more than 3/4 of its former surface area. Once one of the Middle East's largest salt lakes, Urmia was an important stop for migratory birds. Its decline grew from upstream dams, expanding irrigation, groundwater use, drought, and high evaporation. Every diversion reduced the inflow reaching this closed basin. As shallow water split into smaller sections, salinity climbed and fish disappeared. Brine shrimp also declined, weakening the food base for flamingos and other birds. The ecological loss then crossed onto land. Wind can lift salt and dust from the exposed bed toward farms, orchards, roads, and lungs. The lake's retreat becomes a regional land and health problem. Restoration programs have improved irrigation efficiency, released water from dams, redirected flows, and worked to repair wetlands. Heavy rain and managed releases have at times widened the lake again. But one wet season can expand the blue area without repairing the water balance. Agricultural demand can reduce those gains as soon as inflow weakens. A temporary blue surface can hide a continuing deficit. Only repeated gains in depth, salinity, inflow, and area show that the water balance has changed. A desert wind is uncovering ancient whales and wearing them away in the same motion. Around 40 million years ago, this ground lay beneath the warm Tethys Sea. Today, exposed skeletons record the transition from land-dwelling mammals to fully aquatic whales. Basilosaurus and Dorodon carried streamlined bodies and powerful tails, but still retained tiny hind limbs from land-dwelling ancestors. Those reduced bones make evolution physical, an old body plan surviving inside a new one. The valley preserves more than whales. Teeth and stomach contents rebuild a marine food web of sharks, rays, turtles, and other animals. Then, tectonic uplift raised the seabed, and erosion cut it into desert. With little vegetation or new sediment, wind strips loose rock away and brings buried bone into daylight. Exposure is not rescue. Abrasive sand, sharp temperature swings, occasional runoff, and accidental contact begin altering every specimen the desert reveals. Researchers map and stabilize selected fossils, while controlled trails channel visitors around exposed specimens. Excavating everything is impossible, and leaving everything open would expose the record to steady erosion. Every exposed skeleton starts a race between documentation and abrasion, and the wind is always opening another front. When shallow water erases Uyuni's horizon, it conceals an industrial frontier expanding through the brine below. More than 4,000 square miles of Bolivia's Altiplano sit near 12,000 feet, where prehistoric lakes left a crust of salt above mineral-rich brine. That crust is not one solid slab. Repeated evaporation stacked salt, sediment, and brine into ground now used for transport, salt harvesting, tourism, and mineral development. During suitable rainy season conditions, shallow, still water hides the horizon and creates the famous mirror. Too little rain leaves patches, too much can close routes, so the spectacle depends on timing, not permanence. In the dry season, contraction splits the crust into polygons. Four-wheel drive vehicles then cross between salt hotels, working areas, and Inkawasi, turning apparent emptiness into a transport surface. Beneath those roots, lithium-bearing brines have drawn plans tied to global battery demand. That push brings wells, pipelines, evaporation facilities, roads, and heavy water management into an already arid region. That water demand raises hard questions for nearby wetlands and communities. Tourist traffic adds another load, leaving tracks and waste along popular corridors. The mirror conceals the choice underfoot. How much traffic, brine extraction, and water demand the salt crust can absorb before its surface is rewritten? A lava lake has endured for more than a century, yet access to it can change in a matter of days. Rising only about 600 meters in Ethiopia's Afar Depression, Erta Ale stands where tectonic plates pull apart and stretch the crust thin. This is not a tall cone built for symmetry. Repeated flows of fluid basalt spread outward, building a broad shield above one of Earth's hottest inhabited regions. Reports place summit activity in the early 20th century, making this one of the world's longest observed lava lake systems. But the lake is never truly fixed. Its level, crust, vents, overflows, and visibility shift with magma supply and crater shape. The approach crosses an exceptionally hot desert, pushing most travel into the cooler evening or night. Heat turns the route itself into a hazard. Expeditions rely on local Afar guides, drivers, water, camp equipment, and current security arrangements. Past instability and security incidents have made escorts part of the route, not a background detail. Erta Ale leaves the wider pattern exposed. Landscapes do not endure by standing still. Climate and geology rewrite them, while human choices determine what is defended, altered, or left beyond reach. The plain takeaway is that wonder is not a permanent feature of the map. It depends on hard physical limits: cold ice, flowing water, stable ground, living coral, and room for wildlife. Push beyond one limit, and the view changes. Engineering can buy time. A flood barrier rises. A reservoir redirects a river. A visitor cap protects a narrow trail. Yet every intervention carries weight somewhere else. I no longer see these destinations as fixed postcards. They are places under active pressure, where nations choose what to defend, what to extract, and what to leave alone. The next era of travel will be shaped less by distance than by access, repair, and restraint. What remains visible will reveal the power of climate and the priorities of our age. Follow this documentary series as I keep tracing the places where beauty meets pressure, and where engineering, conservation, and restraint decide what the next map of wonder will hold.